Hello everyone, Mr. Yum Yum here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving my review of Carnival at SeaWorld, which is one of my favorite events at any of the Gold Coast theme parks. It's got great music, delicious food, amazing performances and shows, and the amazing fireworks display at the end of the night, which is always a highlight of the visit. It seems like they've got the recipe for this event perfect, but this year I was curious to see if there were any changes or new additions added to the experience. So without further ado, let me break down my visit to Carnival. Before we start, I'd like to give a very special thanks to my channel members, Koala75, Lee Donald, SW Stevie 1, Randall, and Maloney's Coasters. Thank you so much. The event starts at about 5 or 5:30, so we arrived at the park a little bit earlier in an effort to try and escape the long queues which would inevitably form. When we got there, we were surprised to discover that there was already quite a large queue waiting for us, so we had to wait for maybe about 10 minutes or so to get into the park. Once inside, we made our way down to New Atlantis, which is where the iconic Leviathan sits, as well as Trident and Vortex. So far I've only ridden Leviathan and Trident. I don't think I'll ever ride Vortex. I'm not a huge thrill ride person, and the idea of just being chucked around like I'm in a washing machine doesn't quite appeal to me. But if you have ridden Vortex, feel free to let me know in the comments what the experience is like. Is my description accurate, or is it a bit more nuanced? I'm curious to figure out what the appeal of those rides is, hopefully without actually going on one of them. The plan was to try and get a ride on Leviathan, and I did actually get in the queue with the people that I was visiting SeaWorld with. Unfortunately, I recently injured my shoulder at the gym. I thought I was like Superman or something, and I was just lifting all these weights, and I'm pretty sure I was doing it wrong. Yeah, I decided probably best not to ride Leviathan, sadly. The people I was with told me that it was as good as ever, an amazing ride, probably one of my favorites in Australia. Next, we made our way down to the main food area, which was very busy. We had to scout out a table, and I felt like a seagull on the prow hunting for a spot. They definitely need more tables at all the theme parks on the Gold Coast, but particularly here it was very challenging to actually find a spot, and once we did find a spot I noticed that lots of other guests were giving me the shady eye trying to figure out how long I was going to be. In terms of food options, there's quite a lot to choose from here. Lots of selection, lots of like quick food options, food trucks, as well as the burgers, the pizzas, and even the cafe. And then also towards New Atlantis, you've got the pub food. But in the end, I went for the like a New Orleans barbecue themed sort of place, and I had a pulled beef burger with potato salad and corn on the cob. Usually I'm not crazy about theme park food, except for Jane's Rivertown restaurant at Dreamworld. That is, mwah, chef's kiss every time. So my expectations for this weren't too high, but I was pleasantly surprised. This was actually super tasty, very nice. I would even call it yum yum. It gets the yum yum certification. Someone else in my group had the ribs, and let me try a teeny bit of that, which was also very tasty. As far as the food goes, I don't think there were any new options as such. They did have like the cocktail stand. They've added an option to put your cocktail in a tiki cup, which is very cool, nice and themed. I'm not too sure how I feel about the upcharge because a cocktail is already quite expensive, but someone in my group did go for this, and I had a little look at the tiki cup, which was very nice. They have something similar to this at Dreamworld in Jane's Rivertown restaurant. I'm a big sucker for anything themed like this, anything extra, instead of just putting it in like a plain cup. I think that's a really nice touch. By this time, some of the performers were making their way into the park, and for me this is always a highlight of the experience. I'm a huge fan of like bossa nova music. I love SeaWorld, but sometimes the park itself feels quite empty and it needs some life in it. Bringing these talented performers into the fold really heightens the experience and makes the park feel much more full, and there's heaps of stuff to look at. Lots of fire dancers, jugglers, very tall people, I don't know what to call them. Stilt walkers, is that the name? Something. The people that are of a height. The highlight for me though is always the fire dancers. I've discovered through my Carnival visits that I'm actually part moth, because I just go into a weird trance, just standing with my jaw on the floor watching these amazing performers. Just wondering, how are they not getting burned? Because if I was to try and dance around with a flaming stick, I would almost be guaranteed to have serious burn damage. Yes, very, very talented performers and extremely hypnotic. You can just just watch it for hours. I could probably spend my whole visit to Carnival just standing there, just watching the performers. I hope they don't think I'm creepy. I'm just genuinely like entranced by the fire dancing. It's very cool, very dangerous, and they make it look effortless. I don't believe there were any new performances added as such to like the street performances, but like I said, I'm just happy to just zone out and watch the fire dances. Next, we made our way to the Nickelodeon area to watch the new show for this year, which for the first time ever at SeaWorld features most of the Nickelodeon characters in one show. You've got SpongeBob, Patrick, Dora the Explorer, Paw Patrol, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like the Avengers of children's shows. It was very cool. Just a very energetic show with some great dancing, very talented performers. They must be absolutely roasting in those costumes. I would just faint immediately. Yeah, really fun show, and the crowd was very energetic as well. It is a children's show after all. I don't think I'm the main demographic, but I found it enjoyable. I actually think that they should make this like a regular show that they put at the park. After that, we just had like a general look around and chill out while we waited for the main fireworks show at the end of the evening. And this, except for the fire dances, is my absolute highlight, and I think it's a top-notch show. World class, extremely talented performers, dancing, great soundtrack, and of course the fireworks are always a highlight. The show features performers representing different countries around the world. You've got Africa, Brazil, Mexico, and New Orleans in the United States. And each of these group of performers do some traditional dances and things representing each country. My personal favorite would have to be a tie between Mexico and New Orleans. I'm a massive fan of jazz music, so New Orleans has like a very special place in my heart for its iconic music scene and music history. I think I'd have to say the New Orleans one is my favorite, but the Mexico one is very good as well. In fact, all of them are just excellent. It's an amazing show. You've got fire dances again, which are incredible, and the Brazilian fighter dancers. I don't know the name for that, I'm sorry, but these cool dudes that do like kicking, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's amazing. I feel like this is something the theme parks on the Gold Coast are really missing, is like nighttime operations and a big nighttime spectacular show. When you go to a Disney park, they've always got like a show at the end playing in front of the castle with fireworks. I am curious which theme park on the Gold Coast is eventually going to bite the bullet and start doing nighttime operations. Let me know in the comments what you think. I personally think it could be Dreamworld. They recently started opening Jane's Rivertown restaurant on Saturday evenings, which is really cool because it's such a great place to visit, and it would definitely be really nice to go and check it out for dinner one day. I think I should be trying this in the next few weeks or so I'll definitely make a review on that. So to me, that kind of feels like Dreamworld is testing the water for nighttime operations on Saturdays. At the moment, they have the Dreamworld Night Market. They keep the Dreamworld Flyer and the Deep Sea Dodgems open, and they charge guests like $10 to $15 to ride these attractions. I feel like if they did this for Jungle Rush and Mississippi Motors, they would make a hell of a lot of money. But the parks that would really make a killing would be the Village Roadshow parks. Like if Movie World or SeaWorld was open for nighttime operations more frequently, and they had an option to ride some of the attractions at nighttime with light packages and all lit up, I think that would be extremely successful. Shortly after the show finished, the park kind of started to wind down, so we made our way out of the park, and it was very busy. It takes a long time to actually get out of SeaWorld Carnival. There's some big traffic jams in the car park, so that's something to keep in mind on your visit. Maybe it's best to actually just stick around inside the park and grab a drink and wait for things to cool down a bit. If I had one complaint about this, I would say that it's pretty clear that the park wants you to leave after this final show. The staff kind of start packing away chairs and tables and things, and it sort of becomes a little bit inhospitable. Not in a malicious way or anything like that. It's just, I guess they have to get the staff out of there, otherwise they'll be paying them overtime and stuff. And yeah, they just make it quite clear that they want you to leave without directly saying it, which is a shame. I feel like if they kind of encouraged you to stick around for a little bit longer, guests might be more inclined to spend money in the gift shops and purchase things, buy drinks. I know that like after seeing the amazing light show, I would want to stick around for a little bit longer and process it and take it in and talk about it with the people I visit the park with. But it's understandable that they can't stay open for too long. Australia in general has a really early nightlife. Things don't stay open very late here, which to me is unusual because I come from New Zealand, and even in the small town area that I grew up in, things kind of stayed open quite late until like 11 o'clock at night. That was kind of when things started to close down. But in Australia, I've noticed that things kind of close at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. On the flip side though, there is a very vibrant early morning life in Australia. I recently started going to the gym, which is where I messed up my shoulder, and I was amazed to see how many people are up at that time of day. I go at like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and it's packed and it's busy, and I guess that kind of makes up for the lack of nightlife. But as the population here grows and the Olympics approach in 2032, I do hope that parks start to open a bit later or do nighttime operations, because there will be an increasing demand for it. I recently got back from a visit to Japan, which has a crazy nightlife. We would get out of the parks there at like 10 or 11 at night, and things would still be extremely busy. Mind you, it is a much larger country population-wise, but it was interesting seeing the potential of like what things could be like late at night. It felt very much awake. So my final thoughts on Carnival at SeaWorld would be that although there weren't many changes or new additions, I don't think that's entirely necessary, because it's such an iconic event, and something that definitely keeps me coming back each year. It's something I really look forward to, and it never lets me down as such. It brings such a vibrant energy to the park. It's a great family experience. There's something for everybody, from the music, food, shows, performances, fight dances if you're me. And yes, I definitely recommend it. That brings me to the end of my review for SeaWorld Carnival. A little bit rambly, I apologize for going all over the place. This is kind of like a new format for me. Only recently started using my voice in videos this year, I think, or like late last year, and I've got lots more videos planned, so stay tuned for those. I'll mainly be covering updates on the Gold Coast theme parks, as well as occasional updates on theme parks around the world, such as Disney and Universal, so stay tuned for those. Also, if you're interested in following me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram. I post a lot more content there as well, day-to-day stuff, updates, photography, reels, short form content. Make sure to follow me on there, and I'd also like to give a very special shout out to my channel members: Koala75, Lee Donald, SW Stevie 1, Randall, and Maloney's Coasters. Thank you so much. It's very generous, and it helps the channel a lot and means so much to me that you enjoy my content enough to support the channel. And for those of you who don't know, the channel membership is an option that I've recently made available, which will entitle you to have early access to my videos, as well as receiving a special shout out and thanks at the end of my videos. So once again, thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated, and if anyone else would like to support the channel in this way, you're more than welcome. But you can also support the channel by leaving a friendly comment, liking, or subscribing for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.